Hi, my name is Alan Edwards and I'm from Alpus Group. I'm going to talk to you today about making money from commercial to residential. Conversions and how to triple your profits by converting to service accommodation where suitable. This is a subject for a future webinar. So why commercial to residential? Essentially, these are the drivers for this strategy. There's a surplus of commercial property. The value of commercial property is based on the tenancy in that property. So if you've got a lower value tenant, a small company who may have the risk that they go out of business, then this is likely to be lower than a high value tenant such as a brand or one of the main high street tenants who are very secure, who've got a very strong balance sheet and who are unlikely to ever stop trading. So there's a difference between the way that commercial tenancies and commercial property and residential property is valued. Essentially, the residential property is valued on the bricks and mortar value, whereas the commercial property is based on the tenancy. There's been a change of buying habits affecting the high street and secondary shopping precincts. More and more people are buying stuff online. So this has affected trading patterns and levels, and business models are under pressure. Recession is putting pressure on the prices of commercial property, and there is a resetting process at the moment. Residential property prices are more robust and are rising because there's a surplus of demand over supply. So this is driving prices up still. So residential property may be either sold or it may be refinanced and held for the long term. So these are the main factors affecting commercial to residential as a strategy and why it works. So how much money is there really to be made? Permitted development reduces the risk of planning refusal, which was the case before permitted development was introduced by the government. The local authorities don't like permitted development, and they're putting measures in place to control development and to reduce permitted development wherever possible. I can give you examples in future webinars of places where the local authority has interfered with the permitted development right and made it difficult to progress for the developer. So essentially, why is there money today? This is because the structure and the envelope of the commercial building exists. So there's a significant cost and time saving from having to build a structure and an envelope. And what you're doing is essentially repurposing the inside of the building. As soon as the permitted development is approved by the council, they've ratified it, you can refinance to suit the higher value of residential. So the local authority has got 56 days in which they're obliged to respond to your permitted development submission. And you've got the right to develop that unless they come up with an objection and say that one of the criteria is not met. So it's best to consider residential areas that are of higher value, because what we're trying to do here is to make a margin from the difference between the purchase of the commercial property at relatively low value and the relatively high value residential values in the area in which we're developing. So how much does the work cost and what is the margin? So values vary significantly between geographic areas. So I've just given some typical ratios here just for illustration. The cost of purchase of commercial should be below £300 a square foot. So this would be typical in a regional town or county town. Your conversion costs would typically be in the region of £150 per square foot, and the sales value is typically above £550 per square foot. So this means that the profit margin from such a development would be £100 per square foot. Now, this is a very crude assessment because it doesn't take account of the solicitor's costs and the stamp duty costs and so on, which you would assume are included in the cost of purchase. Nor does it take account of the other costs that you've got. Design and construction is included within the £150 per square foot, and you've got to take account of the finance costs. So, albeit that the permitted development is a relatively short time scale and should be able to be implemented within 1 year, well within 1 year, all these factors will increase in cost if the project goes on for longer. So where to start? Because every project is different with commercial residential. So you need to consider the location of the property, the geographical location, and is it suitable for conversion? Just because you can do something doesn't mean to say that necessarily you should do it and that you'll get a profit margin from it. Are there going to be noise issues which prevent it being suitable for residential use? Is it near a motorway. These things have an effect on property values. Are there highways considerations and parking issues? What is the property? It's no good doing a development if the purchase cost is too high, the conversion costs are, we know, going to be high, design, construction fees unlikely to be less than £150 per square foot, finance costs, and then what are the resale values? Is there a demand for the type of properties that you're going to be producing, whether they're 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom flats, or maybe it's a 3 bedroom flat? Is there a demand, and what sort of sales values can you secure in the area that you're talking about? So we've got a 5-step property development success process, which we adopt on every site, whether it's commercial to residential or if it's other types of development. So we identify the prospect site and we do a preliminary calculation of the feasibility of the project. What sort of conversion will it produce, and what are the typical values? So we come up with a gross development value for residential from this particular commercial site we're looking at. And step 2 is we prove the feasibility based on a preliminary design, and we calculate all the costs of purchase, costs, solicitors' fees and stamp duty, land tax, plus design and construction costs, plus local authority fees. So we take into account all the costs and we prove that there is a margin, and what we're looking for is 33% margin to be sure that we're going to come out of this job well. May not mean that we make 33%, but we're looking for this at the outset to be sure that we come up with a profitable outcome on the job. So we then look at step 3, the acquisition of the property, which may be outright if there is permitted development rights which apply. We can make the acquisition immediately, but if planning permission is needed, we may consider an option to purchase subject to planning approval. We wouldn't normally take the risk of acquiring a site where we're also taking the planning approval risk, because it's just too big a risk. You might end up getting a planning approval rejected and you end up having bought a site at too high a value. So we're always very cautious about property acquisition. Step 4 is sales and marketing, and we'd be looking to carry this out at a very early stage, even before the work is complete, because we'd be looking to sell off plan wherever possible, assuming that there is a demand for housing in the sector that we've identified that we're developing, and we'd be looking to contact prospective buyers in that market sector, whether it's first-time buyers or it may be sale for rent. It could be sale to a social housing organisation where we may not get the maximum profit, but we will be assured of a sale. So we want to be sure that we get an exit from the project. And step 5 is the detailed design and construction, which is the meat and bones of the conversion. But this is, in a way, the last thing to be considered, because this is the implementation of what our plan is. And it's the strategy that we go into the project with that is going to dictate how profitable it is. So why listen to me? You can work all this out for yourself. I'm Alan Edwards. I'm a chartered construction manager. I've got 20 years of property development and construction experience working for contractors, clients and consultants on projects from the smallest to the largest in the UK and internationally. These are some of the projects that I've carried out. There was Chelsea Harbour, where I spent about 5 years of my life working for P&O Development, who developed that site, and we were involved in the design and construction coordination and essentially, that was a very successful, very profitable project. Here's another one that I was involved in, Hyde Park Residences, conversion of a listed building into 18 luxury flats. And you can see the quality of the finishes there. And this is still operating as service accommodation in central London now. It's very profitable, highly desirable 5-star hotel alternative for families living temporarily in short-term periods in London. So what I've concluded is that good design matters, and so does good quality construction, which needs organisation and management. Building is made to last, so you need to get things right first time and build quality, budget and timescale. Quality assurance and control is essential. Health and safety is mandatory, it's not an optional thing, and you need to put the right measures in place on every project, whether it's commercial to residential, a small conversion or a larger conversion. You need to have the systems and processes in place. So when you assess the number of designers, contractors, subcontractors, specialist suppliers, and a typical project, there are a lot of moving parts that need coordination. And in my book, Project Deliverance, where I wrote about my experience of a large number of projects throughout my working career, and I identified the 22 factors for project success, which apply to projects from the smallest to the largest. These are those 22 factors for project success. I think that they warrant some consideration briefly now. They're nothing which is outstanding, nothing that you've never heard of, but all of these factors need to be properly addressed and set up correctly for a project to succeed. So there needs to be a clear and concise project remit or brief. So this applies to your commercial to residential conversion projects as well as to any other project. You need to be clear what the outcome is. Are you building for sale? Are you building for rent? Is there demand for what you're producing? Do you have your exit strategies and backup strategies there in clear statements of your remit or brief? This is the vision of the sponsor of the project. So if you're the developer of the project, this is your remit and what you want to achieve from the project. The success factor number 2 is the risk assessment and contingency. And this needs to reflect the realistic risks of carrying out the project and the contingency in terms of budget and time scale. So you need to take this into account with your finance and funding costs, which is item 3. It's no good having partial funding. You need to be funded for the whole of the likely outcome of the project. And we would expect that an 80% probability of achievement of the outcome of cost and time should be taken into account for the funding. Item 4 is that the site must be available and accessible to a contractor. It sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised how many times lack of availability of at least part of the site is a cause for a delay to a contractor, which means that they're going to come back to the owner for additional costs for resolving the issues that are delayed. So make sure that the site is available and fully accessible, that the contractor can get materials in and out of the site, and that he doesn't rely on going through a third party access, which could be disrupted. Item 5, statutory permissions are in place. That is planning permission, which could be permitted development if we're talking about commercial to residential, and essential on every project is building control permission. So there's no exclusions, no exemptions to getting building control permission. You need to submit drawings and to prepare the drawings for local authority approval or a suitably qualified agent alternative to local authority approval. Factor 6 is special protection measures and party wall agreements that need to be in place. So if you're carrying out demolition adjacent to an occupied neighbouring property, you may need to erect fans for protection of adjacent neighbours and property, as well as people. You need to protect utilities. You need to find out where the utilities are crossing your site and ensure they're adequately protected. They may need to be diverted. This could be part of an enabling or advanced works package if your diversions are significant or your demolitions are significant. So the success factor number 9 is to identify the appropriate contracting strategy. So this is traditionally the owner would employ consultants to prepare designs on his behalf, which are fully detailed, and the contractor carries out the implementation of those designs. This traditional approach has fallen out of favour because of historical issues with problems with design delays caused by lack of timely provision of design, thus causing delays to the contract and additional costs. So there's been a tendency towards design and build contracts where the owner specifies his preliminary design only and a set of employers' requirements, and the contractor in his contractor's proposals makes acceptable proposals to the owner for detailed design and whatever finally agreed as the contract requirements under a design and build contract. The third main way of carrying the work out is with a construction management approach where there's no main contractor. The construction manager arranges the design contract with the designers and with the respective works contractors, and they're responsible for carrying out their own packages of work. And the contracts are between the design or works contractor and the owner, and the construction manager administers these on the owner's behalf. So item 10 is that there should be a fully complete, coordinated and buildable design. So depending on the strategy adopted, this falls in different responsibilities, but this is an essential and fully coordinated and buildable design is a fundamental requirement for a successful project. The success factor number 11, quality assurance and quality control measures. You need to specify these for design and also for construction. The success factor number 12 is building information management and modeling, which is very important in these days of computer-aided design and drawing. And you need to set up the right protocols and agree a strategy for being called. Contracts and collaboration. Modern day contracts are quite complicated, and you need to set up the right collaboration clauses so that people are obliged to talk to one another. It sounds obvious, but it's another area where there's the right people are not talking to one another about the right details, and the right manufacturing slots are not met. So you need to set up your contracts with collaboration in mind. This is very important, and we're a great advocate of collaborative contracts. Key success factor number 14 is health and safety. And this is mandatory. You can't absolve yourself or somehow delegate your health and safety obligations. You need to set up the health and safety obligations in the right way with the right parties responsible, but you as the owner have obligations on your health and Safety of Work Act, and you need to ensure you conform to those obligations. There are essentially the RIDWAR requirements that we conform to reporting of injuries and diseases, regulations, and construction, design and management regulations. Also, the success factor number 15 is stakeholder management. So all the parties that are involved in a project need to be fully informed. You need to ensure you've got a strategy in place for informing them at the right time to ensure that they're kept on side about what's going on in the project. Communications and protocols mean these need to be set down and agreed at the outset of the project, so that everybody's kept fully informed by email, by telephone, by Skype, by Microsoft Teams meetings. That all this needs to be pre-agreed about how communications are going to take place and who is responsible for carrying out this communication. It's essential that current construction drawings and who's responsible for updating these and ensuring that the subcontractors are working to the right drawings and so on. Progress reports on schedule and budget are particularly important as is reporting on safety as well. You need to ensure that the right parties are informed about deficiencies on schedule or budget. So progress meetings are very useful face-to-face forum where people are taken to task for what is happening on the job, about their performance and what they're going to do to address shortcomings in performance. If there haven't been the required resources on site, this has meant that other trades are delayed, then this is a significant effect on the project. So this whole responsibility for progress needs to be addressed face to face. It's very easy for subcontractors or contractors sometimes to not want to give account of why they're late doing something. So this is very important. There is this face-to-face meeting and discussion of the progress report. Who's going to do what to address the deficiencies and make sure that the progress is kept up to date. So there needs to be minutes and records of who has agreed to do what to address deficiencies and delays. Interfaces and interface management are another vital area where things can go wrong. So you need to ensure that if you have got particular interfaces with other projects, other resources are needed, then this is fully addressed. And over and above all, there's a leadership culture of decision making on the project, so that no matter what your project is, whether it's a small one or a large one, that delays and essentially decisions are made promptly. Delays are overcome and decisions are made promptly. So this is a vital aspect of any project, and you need to ensure, even if you've got the smallest project, that you ensure you have the right decision-making processes in place and the right leadership for overcoming problems. There will always be problems on projects, but there needs to be a leader there who will overcome these issues. What options do you have with your project? You can appoint a project manager to sort out all the issues. Like it costs like really significant as a consultancy, or even a freelancer could cost you £5,000 a month, and this comes off your bottom line. Or you can do it yourself and learn on the job, and you can save the fees of appointing a project manager, but you may lose a lot of money and time by making mistakes. Or option 3 is that you could partner with Alpus. We carry lot of collaborative work with different parties, and if you would like to schedule a call with me, we can spend some time and discuss your particular interest, whether it's a project, property, or an investment interest, and we can formulate a strategy to implement that if you would like to, using Alpus contacts and network. So you can schedule a call with me at calendly.com/AlanJV. These are the sort of collaboration that we have in hand with different stakeholders, such as property owners, property investors, property management companies. We arrange creative finance strategies, we carry out joint ventures, we acquire properties and portfolios, we transform property value. That's our mission. So if you would like to participate in our partners scheme, you can be involved in sharing deals, which we're getting deals all the time, from the smallest to the largest, and you can participate in these. Not all of these are commercial to residential, there are lots of other things as well, but there are a number of commercial to residential deals as well, and rather than run the risk of carrying them out yourself, you can be part of our network of property sources and contractors and designers and other experts and consultants, and we can share in the profit that's made from these good deals, because we only select deals that are going to be profitable. I outlined the sort of profit margin we're looking for, because these are the sort of margins that we need in a very volatile environment, such as we have at the moment, where resources for construction are scarce, and where there's a volatile inflation in the marketplace as well. So it reduces your risk, and it ensures that we all make profit from deals. So we're part of the Foreign Property Network, Property Investors Network, which is Simon Tucci. I'm currently undertaking a mastermind with Simon Tucci. Property Entrepreneurs Network, that's for us. Sourcing investment, we're a validated sourcer with sourcing investment. Progressive Property Ventures, we've got an arrangement with them. Cobra Club, which is another business introduction and referral network. Startup Disruptors in Portsmouth, and our network is growing constantly. We did have Premier Property on our list of contacts, but that's one's dropped off the list recently. So we also have a property development success course, which is available at £1997. It goes through all of the process that we've just been talking about. Module 1 is the identification of sites and prospective sites. Module 2 is preliminary design and feasibility. This is the process we adopt on every project. Module 3 is funding and cash flow. So in that we take account of the risk assessment and the contingency that we've provided in the preliminary design and feasibility. Module 4, site acquisition and planning approval, which is the use of options where necessary. Module 5, discussing marketing and sales. This will depend on what your exit strategy is for any particular project. Module 6, detailed design and control. And then we've added in to the course a module on system building, because wherever possible we advocate modern methods of construction. We'd like to see more prefabricated building and use of factory quality control methods to essentially prepare modules, prefabricated modules, which can be brought to site and lifted into place. We've used these for many years with bathroom module units, which are built into hotels or can be used for residential as well. But the more work that we can take off the site, then the more risk we can reduce, because there's more certainty and a better environment for quality control, preparing things in the factory rather than on the site. So we're trying to reduce the traditional wet trade and get more into system building wherever that's possible. Commercial to residential, it's not so much possible, but you can where you're adding stories to buildings. You've got room there for modern methods of construction, because you can prefabricate units in the factory and then lift them into place on the top of the existing buildings, having prepared the foundations for those, the foundations being at high level. And then we've added in a module aid, which is management and control system. So that's essentially what we do. Alpus transforms property value. We're offering the opportunity to partner with us, depending on what aspirations are, whether you're a property owner, if you've got a problem property, we can sort any problem out with any building. So essentially you can talk to us, have no obligation discussion about how we can transform the value of your property, no matter what it is. We've undertaken some really large projects in very difficult circumstances, and there's nothing really that would faze us. Or if you're a property investor and you want to discuss how to maximize the profits you can make from property investment and development, then have another discussion with us as well. This is me, Alan Edwards. We're Alpus, and we'd love to help solve your property problem, whatever it is. We're based in Hampshire in the UK and in Slovenia. We operate all over the UK and in Europe. These are our phone numbers, +44 333 224 1257 or +44 7539 141257. You can schedule a call with me at callanb.com, so Callan J.E. My email is alan@alpusgroup.com. Website is www.alpusgroup.com. Okay, look forward to speaking to you. Cheers. So we've done the presentation of the commercial to residential webinar, and if there are any questions, then I'll be happy to answer them. Any comments in chat that anyone wants to make, and we can address those issues. I don't see any comments or questions coming in. So what I'm going to do is stop the recording at this point, and I think that's all for